Hey guys, Stevie Dahl here with another episode of Homefront Harmony. Now, we are the podcast. This is focused on military families, whether active duty or a veteran, trying to provide you the resources and information that you need to help you through your day-to-day life. One of the things we've discussed a lot on this program is how small the military community is. And I'm excited today because some of you may remember the episode we had with Bill Emmel. And he was talking about some of the struggles he had throughout his life and how he's found new ways to combat his PTSD in other areas. And I was able to connect with one of his very good friends and someone I'm very excited to have on the show. Dr. Don is on our show today, the man behind the different ways to deal with PTSD and many other avenues. So welcome to the show, Don.
Thanks so much, Steph. It's great to be here, and I did get a chance to watch the episode with Bill on it, and was very glad to see he shared his struggles because so many of our vets really are reluctant to do that and have a hard time reaching out and talking about the stuff that they go through. And he's been a leader in that and in the organization that he leads, the Warrior Suicide Prevention Foundation, which helped us, our nonprofit Brain Health Warriors, to get started in our original days as well. And that's kind of what he does with other nonprofits in the area, is to help them to get started, gives them the support and
he's a phenomenal human being. Yeah, he is, I absolutely adore him. Yeah. So we're going to kind of pull everybody back and then slide into it. So your connection to the military is?
So I served the Navy for 23 years. Yeah. I had a pretty good time. I joined after kind of what most people now call a gap year from college.
Okay.
I had graduated early from high school and went into college right away.
Okay.
And declared myself a psychology major in junior college.
Okay.
And then failed my first psychology class, and so I didn't last very long after that. But then took a gap year and ended up in northeastern Oregon. And my career options appeared to be working in the lumber mill or working in the mall, one or the other. There wasn't a lot of opportunities.
I can hear your enthusiasm with both those options.
And so I talked to an Air Force recruiter and a Navy recruiter and ended up joining the Navy and spending the winter in a beautiful town up in northeastern Oregon, but then came back to San Diego for training and then had a pretty good career.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what did you do in the Navy?
I was personnel. I was human resources side for the majority of the time I was in. And then about halfway through, I shifted into Navy recruiting and Navy Inspector General staff, which was training recruiting districts, inspecting and training recruiting districts. And then my twilight tour was in Sicily, Italy, as a substance abuse program manager.
Okay. So my dad was actually in his group, he was the substance abuse and alcoholic counselor guy for his team. So throughout my whole life, whenever somebody wanted to give us pain meds or stuff, he could tell you what it was going to do to you. And he'd be like, no. We're kind of the I wouldn't say that we're anti-medication assisted, but I just came out of my experience in the Navy, so I'll lay it out. So I was had gotten the Navy was very good to me in terms it had given me a good deal of financial assistance in getting both my bachelor's and my master's degree while I was on active duty, and that probably helped my career a little bit. So that when I ended up in the substance abuse field, I was the most senior by rank and also the most senior by education and background in the field. Gotcha.
And so I ended up as the program manager. And when I got there, first thing you do is, how are we doing? And we weren't doing very well. We had about 100% recidivism, 100% relapse rate within the first 24 hours of them being released from treatment over in Rota, Spain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were getting on the plane and getting drunk on the way back.
Oh, man.
So we shifted gears and we rebuilt and stopped sending them off to Rota and started keeping them local where we could talk them through the stuff that they were going through. And by the end of that tour, we had enough data to show that we were about 35% success rate for the true alcohol addicted individual when you measure by standards of 1 year post treatment. So you wait, you keep working with them until they're ready, and then a year later you check and see how they're doing, which is kind of the standard in the industry. So we got to 35% success rate with our sailors and their family members with substance use disorders, and that shocked me because it didn't feel very good, right? We're only getting 35% success rate. Doesn't sound very good. But that, if you look at the national treatment standards and recovery rates, that's really consistent with the very best treatment facilities in the nation. Oh. And that those are the 75,000 to 100,000 a month treatment programs out in Malibu and et cetera, et cetera. So we're not, meaning to say, my great discovery after doing that as my twilight was we're not doing a very good job. Across the board, we're not doing a very good job in treating substance use disorders, and there's got to be a better way. And so the second half of my career, the post-Navy part of my career, has really been focused on how we can do better. I've been teaching in the addiction field and doing addiction treatment since I retired in 2001. When I got out, I had the privilege of working with Children's Clinical Services here in Nevada.
Okay.
And learned we're not doing a very good job there either.
So Don's finding out where we need to improve people. This is what he does.
From a military perspective, you always look for the best way to do something, right?
Absolutely.
And you have a chain of command where you can recommend it, and things follow through, and they either get adopted or they don't get adopted. But it's a very short cycle because there's a presenting problem that needs to be resolved, and we do our best to resolve it. Probably one of the greater challenges is translating that into civilian life, where it takes a tremendous amount. And neurofeedback is one of those particular fields that has the same length of time in research as psychopharmacology, for example. Okay. And talk therapy as another example, going back to the 1950s, right? When different, of course, Freud and Jung were earlier than that, but the real talk therapy theorists were doing their building of their therapy theories in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, as was psychopharm. American, we were using Valium, Prozac, and take care of every ill that has you, right? There's a pill for it. And but neurofeedback has the same length of history. And probably, in my opinion, if we can do something that a drug can do without being invasive and without being addictive, then we should be doing that first. It's called holistic medicine, right? Yeah. It's just plain simple. And with neurofeedback brain training, so that's not really the end of the story. I retired in 2001.
He's so excited to tell us it all. I love it. Okay, keep going.
I retired in 2001 and started my own private practice addictions treatment and doing talk therapy, which is what I'd been trained to do. Okay. And then I started teaching at University of Phoenix, and I became full-time with them in that short period after I retired, and then got recruited over to National University, which is in California, and I've been teaching with them for 18 years now in the psychology department. And for the last 14 years, been teaching with them in an alcohol and drug abuse certificate program.
Okay.
Which we launched. It's completely online. And we launched that. This all kind of ties into how I got to where I got. And then, so we launched that in 2010. about the same time that the university told me if I didn't get a PhD, I wouldn't be able to stick around.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's just a tenure thing. Yeah, you want professors who have...
It's just a 10-year thing. I'm still off on my year between high school and college, people, and this man's going for like his 8th degree. Good night.
Yeah, no, and so I struggled through my doctorates, and I wrote on a field that I love, which is the 12-step theory field, and I wrote a paper on positive psychology and meaning and purpose in life, right? Because throughout my entire experience, I've kind of figured, and my PhD studies led me into the positive psychology understanding too, that we're really only happy if we're doing what we're really supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's the key, that we have to get off of the track what other people told us would make us happy,
right,
and do what we're supposed to be doing in this world, to bring out that light within us and give it to the world, right? So that's been my entire experience. And so we call it in positive psychology, we call it an existential perspective. Yeah, meaning and purpose.
Okay, so I'm loving you. And so there's three things Stevie needs to shout out. First of all, my niece just finished her freshman year up at UNR. She is pursuing psychology as her major.
Cool.
She does want to work for the FBI, though.
Profiling.
Well, I'm in security.
Okay, cool.
So she had that kind of my feed of my life in her mind on that. So I love the psychology shout out there for you on there. Shout out to my director guru Robert, who's off camera that you all cannot see. He actually, Robert, are you 13 years sober? Right. 13 years sober.
Great. Yeah.
So proud of you. You are kicking butt and taking names. Love you and proud of you for that. And 3, we always joke my dad was sunshine up the butt. Okay. Positive thoughts bring positive actions. Everything. And when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate it. And as an adult, especially in the security field, I deal with some dark stuff. And keeping the focus and finding the positive and the joy and the good is like, I think honestly that's helped me mental health wise.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the reasons. My dad did 2 tours of Vietnam. Yeah. And he came back and he did not struggle as some others struggled with some things mentally. And I think part of that was one, his faith, and the other, his positive outlook on things. So I love that I didn't know there was a whole psychological
theory behind that.
Yeah. That was that
right.
is like the coolest thing to me.
Leave it to psychologists and they'll study anything and come up with some wonderful theories.
I love it. So now, you were doing the counseling when you're ending your term in the Navy, and then you step out and you decide, okay, I'm going to do my own practice.
Well,
in this area.
So it was a progress. When I retired, I was on retirement leave and already had started working over at Camp Pendleton at the substance abuse clinic in July of 2001. Okay. And then 911 hit. And we had about 50 service members in our treatment program, outpatient and intensive outpatient. And within 2 days of 911, all those soldiers were recalled to their commands, right, for preparation for deployment. So I'd like to joke about it, and I hope nobody takes offense, but they were declared better by their commanding officers, right? And so the prospect, so I'd already had job applications here in Nevada. My family is from Long Beach, California, and I didn't want to go back there under any circumstances. Okay. The traffic, no
kidding.
The traffic.
Oh my gosh, even Robert's over here going, the traffic, he's from California.
No, I couldn't do that. And even being in Oceanside for those 3 months was more than I really bargained for. But so I got a job here in Children's Clinical Services, and I did that for 4 years. And then I started teaching full-time and came into the academics. But the children's stuff, too, the children's issues that we have always had in our culture and other cultures as well, I found now we have a way to work on that. So I did my own treatment, private practice for about 10 years after that, after I retired. And then as I was finishing my doctoral degree, then a colleague here in the community, in Las Vegas community, called me and asked me to be her neurofeedback supervisor. And honestly, this is in 2011. I had never really heard about neurofeedback.
I was going to say, did you know what it was?
I was just doing my dissertation, so I'd had my doctoral dissertation with a kind of a subspecialization in addiction treatment, and nobody ever is talking, and I find that to be true today in higher academics. We're not talking about brain health. We're talking about therapies, right, and ways to fix people. We're not talking about the brain being the root of that. Even at National University, we do not have a brain, a psychophysiological oriented class other than what I have developed within the alcohol drug program. So I got called into the field. I started using it in my private practice. Started building a whole business out of it, helping other providers do it as well, right? Because it's easy. The system we use is called an automated system. It's designed specifically to reduce clinical error and clinical judgment. Errors of clinical judgment, and to make the process of doing neurofeedback, brain training, as simple as possible. Okay, so for our guests, we did have Bill describe, but from your perspective, what is neurofeedback? So neurofeedback is simply the science of listening to the brain's electrical system. It's EEG. Electroencephalograph, and that's the techniques that we've used since the 1950s to listen to the brain's activity. And actually, the first one was 1875, the first time we listened to somebody's electrical activity.
Learn something new every day on this show, people. Did not know that.
1875. So, but it's starting in the so it really has now to do much more with computer speed, being able to hear the rhythms in the brain's electrical system, filter out noise from blood flow and things like that, and get the specific rhythm. Then that rhythm in the system we use is presented to the client in a three-dimensional image. It's a fractal image that's constantly moving and represents the three-dimensionality of the brain's electrical system in a way that the brain interprets, sees the speed and rhythm in that rotating picture, and starts to emulate that speed and rhythm, follows it, and as soon as it starts to follow that rhythm, which when we start the program up, it usually starts within 15 to 30 seconds, moving in that direction, we reward it with sound. And so it's this constant process of moving the brain in its rhythms in the direction that we want the brain's electrical system to move, right?
Now, I know that it is used for PTSD. It's helping with PTSD now, but I also know that PTSD is still a little bit of a taboo subject for people to talk about. They like to throw the acronym around, but they don't want to really talk about it. But when they started with this neurofeedback, I mean, like you hear the stories. You had the hysteria phase. You've had all these phases of different treatments and stuff. Originally, was it a specific symptom that it was created to help treat?
No, the first human experiments were done in 1959 at University of Chicago, just to show that humans could control their alpha rhythm. With just a red bell coming on when you were producing alpha. And it going off when you were not producing it. So along that lines at the University of Chicago, and the Menninger Clinic at that time was influenced by a lot of humanistic psychologists who experiencing consciousness was the most prevalent thing. One of those prevalent doctors and his wife went over to India to listen to the brain states of deep state meditators.
Okay.
So this is kind of the history of what we know about for addiction treatment. These deep state meditators learn how to produce where they're not affected by anything. They're just in a perfect, happy state of being all the time, right? Nothing, no anxiety, no depression.
That's awesome.
Right? And it's just this, so they practice it and they produce this rhythm that's called crossover, where they're so let me kind of explain rhythms. I can't really get this whole deal.
Get some popcorn. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Can't really get this unless you kind of understand the relationship of the electrical system in the brain to behaviors, thoughts, emotions, right?
Okay.
So our brain is our computer central, right? So sometimes parts of the brain get under aroused genetically by damage, by 1,000 different things going on. Parts of the brain get under aroused. In most under arousal situations, it's the left hemisphere that's under aroused.
Okay.
And the left hemisphere controls areas of learning and memory, short-term memory, emotional regulation, impulse control, all symptoms that we associate with ADHD and other.
Y'all notice how he was pointing exactly where in the brain those parts are, like without even thinking about it?
Right.
I love
That's
this.
right.
Okay.
So when the left hemisphere is under aroused, and sometimes not the left hemisphere can be okay, but with right hemisphere will get over aroused, and those are the symptoms of anxiety, depression, OCD, autism, and Asperger's when it's prefrontal, prefrontal right. And so it's about over and under arousal.
Okay.
And then there's other symptoms that our brain, EEG, where the EEG is unstable.
Okay.
That produce symptoms of bipolar disorder is probably the most most well-known instability in the brain. But you get into, I noticed on your show with Bill, you were talking about the impact of hormonal changes on personality, on health, on mental wellness,
in
right?
that world right now. Yes, sir.
And so under the instability list is PMS and menopause, right? Because what's going on is the brain is experiencing a change in hormonal input, doesn't know how to respond to it. So we train the brain to respond to any changes, whether it's hormonal or toxic, right? And to help it to restore to its best brain function, its best rhythm.
That's very cool. I'll tell you, the other day my husband and I had a conversation because he was like, "You seem off. Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Baby, I am in menopause. I am just going to be off
5 years.
The time. There doesn't even have to be a reason. I'm just going to be off. Because I'm usually a pretty steady person, and I found with the hormonal changes and everything going on, so I have an extremely high level of testosterone in my system, and that's where my lovely hormone replacement specialist is like, okay, that's what's giving you your problem, because everything else is fine.
That's right.
That one's just an extreme, so we just need to kind of bring everything back into balance with it. But it is fascinating because my mother described it, and she's right. You're almost like watching yourself react or handle a situation, like from the outside looking in.
That's right.
And you're thinking, why are you doing that? Yeah. But you are, it's very surreal. So to understand that, that would be part of the brain working. It makes sense that it's not just the hormones, it's triggering everything else too.
Yeah, so those too fast, too slow, and dysregulation are largely left and right hemisphere issues, the things I described, everything. Then you got PTSD, and addictions are much more oriented in the limbic system arousal, fight or flight response system. Okay. And it's really psychophysiological in that the triggers that cause addiction and PTSD reactivity are in the sensory memory system in this part of the brain, right? And their circuitry to the amygdalic memory, the fight or flight response memory, is only this far. And to the prefrontal cortex, it's this far. Okay. So just by physiology, the signal I'm being triggered, or that sight, sense, smell, touch, or taste is triggering this memory of whatever it was, of being in the bar, whatever it was. So I narrow it down to one of three things.
Okay.
Oh, it feels so good.
Okay, fair enough.
Or it doesn't feel bad.
Well,
right?
Okay.
And then, or this is too much in the PTSD, overwhelming in the PTSD response. So the first two are the addiction response. The third is the overwhelmingness of it. So the trigger, what it does with electrical activity is it shoots up and accelerates theta in the limbic system.
Okay.
And steals alpha from prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
So by stealing alpha, it reduces everything that the prefrontal cortex is supposed to be doing. Impulse control, emotional regulation, cognition, the thoughts that I should not ought to do this, but turns into, once we do neurofeedback, I should not ought to do that because it didn't work out for me ever before.
Wow. See? If you have all these things going on in your head, see?
That's right.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
There's going to be a quiz later. Take notes.
Yeah.
So when you do the neurofeedback on someone who's dealing with something like we were talking about, the PTSD, what does it help? How does it help?
What it helps them to do, so what it does is the trigger really shifts. Within 20 to 30 sessions, we do a minimum of 2 sessions a week, and I've done a full round of treatment in as little as 2 weeks at our resort, right? So it's a dosage issue. We just want you to get to 20 to 30. What happens is we change the the brain uses neuroplasticity to learn a different way of operating.
Okay.
And and self-management. So instead, in the PTSD or the addiction cycle is a perfect example of it. Before we do the training, the limbic system is saying, I've got to have, and I'll figure out a way to get it one way or the other, right? Once we do the training, that part that I just mentioned, I'd like to, but it never worked out for me before, so I'm not going to. This is all cognition and thinking, which is now getting that signal at the same time as limbic system, or in a way that makes it more of a 411 response in the brain than the 911-ishness of the PTSD response or the addiction response, if that makes some sense to you.
So more allows you to think through the process more than the urgency reaction, got to do something now.
Yeah, I use that 911. We still have 911, but nobody has 411 anymore.
Well, 411 is it. 411's the information, 311's the non-emergency line.
That's right, okay.
411 is the information line. But it makes sense when you're talking about thinking through that you would use the information here, because you do. Panic is a real emotion.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we make decisions in a panic situation, I got to tell you, they're so not always the best decisions because you gut instinct in it. That's why, so always pull my security in here. That's why I tell people a lot when I'm doing security trainings, fraudulent actors use urgency.
That's right.
They try to get you to panic because then you're more than likely to make a mistake and click the bad link or do the wrong thing because of that emotional reaction to it. My boss had these principles he always stated, and number 4 was emotionally people are totally predictable.
Yeah.
And that is so true when panic is the emotion. Because you knee-jerk react to it, and you just don't think clearly. Now, so
that's a limbic system response entirely.
And then the neurofeedback, how did we discover that, like, if we do so many treatments, it's helping somebody with their PTSD, is it forever they have to take the treatment?
No. Okay. So I'll talk about the history of the science just a little bit. The first real research on it was a cat experiment a guy named Barry Sturman did on, I think, 13 cats he wired up and taught them to produce what we call sensory motor rhythm. It's a strip that goes across the skull, across the brain matter, that controls our senses in and out and the motor movement that accompanies them, right? So he trained these cats to produce good sensory motor rhythm. And in a cat, that's when they're perfectly still, highly aware, and yet very tranquil. You've seen it in a cat if you've seen cats, right? They're just perfectly still. They're aware. If you move, if a mouse is over in the corner there, they've got an eye on it. If there's a bird over there, they've got an eye on that, but they're not moving a bit. That's sensory motor rhythm. They're highly aware, but they're tuned into their bodies.
Okay.
And so he taught these cats. And then these cats went on to another study with NASA where they were exposed to tetrahydrocarbons. And Barry's cats, among the other population of cats, did not go into seizure disorders. So that was the first sign that...
What is tetrahydrocarbon?
Rocket fuel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, rocket fuel.
Okay, I know rocket fuel. I
Rocket
knew
fuel.
that one.
Astronauts were getting sick.
Okay.
Right? And they couldn't figure it out. Yeah,
Okay.
so they figured...
But Barry's cats
did not
good.
get sick.
Okay.
So Barry did a lot of research first on seizure disorders. So we learned that it was the first area where we could really get rid of most seizure disorders, tic disorders, and anything that affected the central nervous system like that. So he did great work with that. And then other scientists started working around other issues. ADHD. Sturman was involved with ADHD studies as well. ADHD is progressing pretty quickly and becoming recognized by insurance agencies. And maybe within the next 10 years, there'll be 5 to 10 years, we hope that the insurance companies will recognize that 30 sessions of neurofeedback to get rid of 85% of the symptoms of ADHD might be a better bet for them than continuous treatment with psychotropics, with Ritalin, Concerta.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, those are the studies that we have now after many years, right? University studies, large trials. So you asked about PTSD, and the first real studies in PTSD you mentioned your dad, Vietnam veterans with alcoholism and PTSD.
Okay.
Eugene Peniston was involved in those studies, did 3 small-scale studies with less than 30 participants in each one who were undergoing traditional 12-step therapy under the VA. Added neurofeedback to it, did some nice post and pre-post testing, used the MMPI, which measures personality pathologies like narcissism and antisocialism. There's 13 categories. And after 30 sessions of neurofeedback, those lowered in statistically significant ways. 6 of the 13 categories got better, right? So in a way, we're saying now that neurofeedback not only gets rid of the compulsion to drink and use and the PTSD response, but it makes you a better personality in ways. And if you do enough of them, we know we can even impact personality disorders, which is one of the hardest psychiatric conditions to work.
It's crazy. And I love this because of the fact that, and especially like when I was a teenager, aging myself, you all know I'm 50. It's fine. We'll move on. ADHD became a big thing. And Ritalin, I had a lot of friends who were on it. And then, of course, there were the people who discovered that they didn't need it for ADHD, but they could use it for other kinds of highs. And it was a huge thing. But I remember at that age, it was very restrictive of the path you could take. And what I like now is that there are so many different healing paths you can do. It doesn't always, maybe you are somebody that being on the medication works for you and you're happy and you're great. Good for you. But maybe you're somebody like we've talked about a lot of the military veterans. Fitness.
Yeah.
Something about fitness helps them. That's their balance. That's their, so they stick with it and they do a lot of jujitsu. We found, haven't we, Robert? Like everybody's doing the Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff. Like That's one of the popular ones. And then with the neurofeedback, just knowing that, and I say this so you guys are listening and you hear, because it's okay if you think something's not right. It's okay to have a reach out, to need help. Yeah. And again, if you don't know, you reach out to us. We'll be happy to connect you to. There are options out there for you. And you were talking, Bill talked about the nonprofits and the way that maybe it's somebody financially can't get a certain treatment at a time.
That's right. Most veterans who are eligible can get a referral to us through the VA Community Care Network. And that includes here in the Valley for outpatient neurofeedback. Mm-hmm. Nationwide for a veteran who is struggling with an SUD, a substance use disorder, and cannot find the kind of care that we provide. We have a resource called the Healthy Brain Resort up at Mount Charleston under our nonprofit, and we can serve veterans from all over the country.
Oh, wow.
They can get a referral for substance use disorders only, for PTSD, which is almost always underlying in the SUD disorders anyway. I mean, there's such a strong relationship in our veteran community with that as well. Yeah. But let me add to this real quick if I can, which is one of the biggest challenges of us being productive and doing what we do. We're pretty confident in what we do. The challenge isn't us, though. It's getting people to be aware. It's really, thank you for the podcast, because this is really an opportunity for people to hear that they might be eligible for a service that they're not getting told about in their primary care situations, in their mental health referrals. They're not getting told about it. They are eligible for it. And that's one part of what Brain Health Warriors, our nonprofit, does, is be here for the veterans in Las Vegas. But that's not going to help a lot of veterans outside of our region. And so from a grassroots level, Brain Health Warriors has taken on how we can get more people certified in the field. So people, so in the mental, so of course, if you're a psychiatrist, you're going to have 8-10 years of school behind you. If you're a marriage family therapist, you're going to have 8 years of school behind you, with 6 years usually of licensing supervision, right? People in the neurofeedback field so one of the biggest resistances we get is from the professionals, because they've trained 8 years, 10 years. They've been told how to do it. This is the right way to do it, by gosh and by golly.
Right.
And don't tell me that a person with a bachelor's degree can help people more than I can. Please don't tell me that, because that's true.
Old stigmatas we still deal with every day.
That's right. But so now the certifying organization that says people with bachelor's degree who are peak performers can do what you do, Dr. Don. And so we're training them now. We're training people with bachelor's degree in the special education fields, especially, and the peak performance fields for athletic performance. We can help athletes with the things that they struggle the most. I mean, everybody struggles with some kind of brain imbalance a little bit, and athletes and A-listers and performers typically have other issues that go along with that, and we can help them the same. And the alpha theta, the eyes closed training we do for addictions and PTSD, we also use for peak performance training for executives, for performers, and for athletes and musicians and dancers, and have for many, many years now. Yeah.
That's awesome. My sister and I, our treatment is to go to Broadway.
Yeah,
see a bunch of shows.
That's my son.
We just did, and we're already like, we need to book another trip to
That's
Broadway.
My son.
Our poor husbands are like, oh my goodness. But I'm just saying, if you have not seen The Lost Boys, you need to go see The Lost Boys. Good night. So all of them were awesome. But that was like the new one that we fell in love with. So let's say somebody is maybe not unaware is not the right word, but something's off. We want them to be able to recognize, oh, hey, that is something that I would question for you, having been in this field as long as you've been in it. Because, obviously, if they're addicted, to something, that's a quite obvious one.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody starting with first effects of like PTSD or something like that.
Yeah.
How do you help people to kind of identify that maybe, hey, I need to reach out and talk to somebody. This might be something that's happening in it.
So since I've been doing neurofeedback for 14 years now, and since I came into the field, I've just started to look at people and say, "Oh, I can help you with that." I mean, it's like you see somebody struggling in early recovery, right? Somebody who's going to the meetings, who's trying to get better, but the brain, the sleep, the anxiety, still kicking their behinds, right? I can help you with that, no problem, right? I can accelerate the first 18 months of your recovery in AA. Literally, all that stuff that's going on in early recovery, we get rid of, right? Then you get to live your life the way you're supposed to live your life.
Oh, wow.
Same thing with anxiety. If anxiety is a biological disorder, otherwise they wouldn't treat it with drugs, right? So it's a neurological disorder. We get rid of the anxiety. We notch it down. So instead of that combination of limbic system and prefrontal muck that's going on, they can use their prefrontal cortex. Sometimes just recognizing the symptoms. Oh, I can feel an anxiety attack coming on. Okay, what do I need to do, right? So we really are strengthening all the time the cognitive portion of the brain, right, to make it better. And at the same time, all of our protocol trainings, we're also working on the delta rhythm, which is the sleep rhym, because sleep is at the heart of so many mental health issues, right?
Oh my God, I used to sleep so well pre-menopause.
Yeah.
3 a.m. You're all up with me at 3 a.m. Every woman I know going through menopause, 3 a.m. We're all awake for some reason.
And I look at it and I say, I can help you with that.
Well, I find the anxiety thing, I find very fascinating because, I mean, my sister has been very candid the fact that she deals with, I think to a point we all kind of deal with certain levels of different things in our brains, and some just end up being more prevalent than others depending on the brain. I mean, I was a smoker. I smoked for a very long time, and I quit 15 years ago. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and they said, well, how did you quit? I was getting headaches. I figured it was affecting my health, so I didn't want to do it anymore. But I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
And I have other friends that have never wanted to quit the smoking. And I thought, oh, how weird. I just assumed people did, but apparently that was just my different makeup versus other people's. Like my dad smoked my whole life. He didn't want to quit.
Yeah.
You know, he had talked about it before. He understood what it took to quit. Like it was not easy. And yes, every once in a while somebody walks by with a really good smelling cigarette and I'm like, oh, most of the time I don't like the smell of them anymore. But yeah, it's a very interesting perspective. And then marrying a man who never did smoke, never had a desire to, like maybe on occasion a cigar, but you know, and then we'll talk about stuff. And he was literally fascinated when he found out, and he was like, really? So that's interesting. And I'm like, a lot of the times it was the habit breaking for me. I would come home, I would turn on jazz, I'd have a glass of wine, and I'd have a cigarette. That was my end of day ritual. So I stopped doing that.
Okay.
Because it made it easier to not want a cigarette.
That's
you know,
right.
it was little things that I did. But then I've talked to other people, and it's 20 times harder than I had an easy road, I guess. I don't know how, but
most people struggle. It's one
easier.
addiction that most people who have it struggle with the most, over alcohol, drugs, and everything else.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of the recovery programs, 12-step included, make time for a cigarette break in there, because if it goes longer than an hour, then the smoking addict is not going to be able to sit there still past 50 minutes. It's a cycle of the nicotine in the system that it peaks as soon as you take a hit off the cigarette, and then over the next 55 minutes starts to wane down to nothing or little, and it's the substance that is triggering that I got to have one now. We associate it with behavior, sure. The cup of coffee.
It was how I'd take a break.
Yeah, it was how we take a break.
I am horrible
right.
about taking a break at work.
Yeah,
I will.
Right.
I will
That's
work
right.
through lunch. I will do it, and it made me step
Yeah.
outside for 5 minutes and actually stop.
Yeah. And so now we step outside and we breathe.
I haven't gotten myself to step outside and breathe. I will admit to that. But what I do is I do step away from my desk. I make myself walk away from my desk. Even if it's something as stupid as like in my suite at my office, there's the executive suite because I work in, there's a restroom in there. But there's also one down the hall. So I make myself go down the hall because it's just those few extra steps, like, security. But I got to walk away sometimes. It gets heavy. But so now with the neurofeedback that people do, it's going to vary depending on what they're being treated for and how intensive it is of how many treatments they would have.
30 sessions, 20 to 30 sessions. We'll alleviate. So during the training, the most clients will start to recognize symptom improvement. So what we do when we set up a new client is we do the evaluation, which is a questionnaire that identifies the under-arousal, over-arousal dysregulations, right? Just simple yes and no questions. Do you experience this or that? And then that will produce the specific training protocols, usually at least 2, sometimes 3 different training protocols designed to increase arousal here, decrease arousal here, stabilize arousal here for the symptoms that you mentioned. And most clients will start to recognize symptom improvement within 3 to 5 sessions. We have to do, it's just an old adage, at minimum of 2 times a week. Okay, so for our military veterans and our first responders, we always refer to neurofeedback as brain training. Okay. They get it.
Okay.
They get it. We're just gonna train your brain the same way you train your glutes and your abs and your legs and everything else, right? Because that's the most important part of your body that you can train if you want to really be well. And so that's kind of our adage. We keep it into that. So the brain training will work for just about everything. Symptom improvement within the first 3 to 5 sessions. If we get to 8 sessions and the client is not reporting symptom improvement, then we will do a couple other things. There's several things that we can do in the questionnaires that will make sure we're getting, but then once they get on that road to improvement, then it will continue to improve till they get rid of and recognize that about 80 to 85% of their symptoms are no longer present in their life. Measurable. We set goals, and those goals can be as specific or as vague as we want. For example, with somebody with anxiety or panic attacks, I'm going to be very specific. I have 3 panic attacks every week, usually between 10 and 11 in the morning. And that's my goal, is to get rid of them. And so people with anxiety are the ones I'm most meticulous with goals with, because they're anxious about getting better.
Okay.
As well as everything else.
Fits. I'm just saying, it fits. Everything is anxious about it.
Right. And so
the saying, my sister and I joke, I'm sorry I can't do that right now. I'm coming up with things to worry about in my head.
That's right. So they'll come in midway through treatment. Getting better, doc. Am I getting better? And I say, well, how many panic attacks did you have this week? Oh, I haven't had any. Oh, I guess you're getting better.
You know what? That's a key.
So it is, and so in talk therapies, they use journaling to record things and so that's sometimes helpful for people during the neurofeedback process to really kind of focus on the things that they have learned to accept behaviorally, to cope with is the right word, right?
Okay.
Because we've all got stuff we've had to learn how to cope with, right?
True.
Neurofeedback reduces the need to cope with that stuff. So it frees up the psyche, the person, to be who they are.
Wow. That's just like...
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And you think that a lot of times we hear treatments of things and it's kind of something you're going to always be stuck with if it's the drugs, versus where sometimes with the therapy sessions, talk therapy can work for some people, and then the goal is to not always have to have it, but it is an option there. But
it's a long process.
Having the this is an additional option to come into. And I imagine it's not just veterans, first responders, military spouses. They're in there, their spouse is sent to deployment. Their heads have their anxieties, their things they deal with. I always tell people, I knew from a very young age my dad might die doing his job. I didn't think he would, but I knew he would. Now I look back and I'm that's a little messed up. At the time, it was
that's not really typical.
The way
No,
the brain worked. But so the fact that this is kind of a universal treatment,
it is
so cool.
Yeah,
it's just so cool.
Yeah, it really is.
What made you start the nonprofit? Because your friend pulled you into the neurofeedback world. What made you start the nonprofit?
Well, about that time, I started going to Bill Emmel's 22nd Tuesday.
Oh,
right?
yes.
I was coming into I'd been around the veterans community quite some time, but I'd been focusing my work on. But then when I figured out what it could do for our veterans, I started working with Bill. Came on, we found our own nonprofit. So what it really is, under Bill's guidance, is that as long as this product has been around, Brain Paint Neurofeedback, and used extensively in the most vulnerable populations, veterans and addictions, we don't have a recorded suicide for anybody who's completed 12 sessions.
Oh my God.
Right.
Like I could cry right now.
Right.
Hormones. It's fine. Keep going.
And so there's no reason to be losing anybody.
Yeah.
And so as a nonprofit, Bill and I, his nonprofit and my nonprofit, when a veteran goes into crisis, they're either going to go into the VA's 5151 program and get fed medications till they're stabilized. Our nonprofit is able to get them neurofeedback from the very first time they present and start that pathway. And we can do it 2 times a week, or we can do it 2 times a day. And so by day 2 with somebody, we're stabilizing them emotionally, mentally, physically. And so we joined up. So that's what I got into veterans. And then at the time, I was rebuilding what is now the Healthy Brain Resort up in Mount Charleston. And when I came into neurofeedback, I said, well, this has just got to be done for veterans. So I finished building the house, and we have a residential community center up there where we can have vets come in for free if they get the referral correctly from anywhere in the nation, and provide support and counseling and neurofeedback and get them better, stabilize. We can have them up to 3 months to get them better and stabilized, help them figure out what they're going to do. And for me, most importantly, once we get rid of all that stuff that they've had to learn how to cope with, that they're starting to come back into themselves, I can help them to figure out who they are and what they're supposed to be.
Wow.
Because all that coping stuff is no longer.
Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. That is so awesome. I have seen all varied levels of those coming out of military service, those who handle it well, those who have a rougher go to it. It just varies, Yeah,
for years so like I said, 14 years I've been doing this, and from the very beginning, when I saw how easy it is to do, right?
Right.
It is something a medical technician with a little coaching background, because people need to be coached a little bit, right? And so I have found myself as a therapist not doing therapy like I used to sit down for 45 minutes and do therapy. And I'd see one client I saw for 1.5 years, and he used me as a shield from his wife for his extravagant lifestyle. He was willing to pay me to listen to him when I started doing neurofeedback and I offered it to him. He says, I don't really want to get better.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Well.
Yeah. and started doing it in my private office. And the clients I got had either had some 12-step background or some therapy background, and were kind of disgusted with the whole process. Came to me. It would be nice to say we're 100% of all the clients I've worked with are now clean and sober. There is one military vet that I know still struggles a great deal after having a lot of neurofeedback, and he still struggles. So it's not a panacea for everybody, but I also know this vet has got many more issues than a round of neurofeedback, as he's got some life issues that have to be that he's working on. I mean, honestly, he's working on them, but he's one of those that's going to take a little bit longer than the average. But generally, 30 sessions of neurofeedback will get you 85% relief from the symptoms and your thinking skills back, right? And that's kind of, for me, the most important thing, being able to be aware of yourself and aware of the anxiety. Instead of reacting to the anxiety and say, okay, this is what triggered me. Don't have to worry about that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and see, you have to understand people. Everybody's individual.
Yeah.
Just see, he was saying, the one guy's got some extra he's dealing with, and he's dealing with it. Yeah. So everybody's an individual. You're not a bad person if you're having a rough time. It's okay to reach out and ask for a little help. Please don't hesitate to do that. You are very important. You matter so much. I am so grateful that you were doing this and we got you on the show. I'm excited about, I know you said you're working on the certificate program. When you get that into play, we'll have to have you back so we can talk about it and get people to be able to participate in that too, because man, a non-invasive way to let you just be you again.
Right. Yeah.
How phenomenal is that?
Across the board, and in a system that's so when you look at healthcare and the cost of healthcare, here's a device that, for one user, so I'm going to move into proposing to your listeners that if you're in the field of peak performance, that you consider taking on learning how to do and apply neurofeedback.
Okay.
Because if you're already doing in that field, this is going to help you 10 times more than anything you've learned. You don't have to forget about what you learned. If you're an autism specialist or an Asperger, you can keep doing what they've taught you to do. This will multiply the effects of it 10 times.
That's awesome.
We know that. That's clinic. I mean, we know, we've had research
He's
on
like,
it.
that's
right?
not just me saying that.
That's
I
not
actually
just me
had
saying
that.
Yeah.
I loved how you brought that in real quick. Like,
as there's research on it. We know. This is stuff we know. So now you can do it, and if you're not one of those people that can do it, and so first step in finding this kind of neurofeedback is to go to brainpaint.com, and on the consumer side there's a map. You can put in your zip code and find a brain painter in your region. Most of the brain painters I've ever met, there's probably 4,500 of us around the nation.
Oh, wow, okay.
Are pretty cheap in terms of clinical cost. Insurance doesn't always pay for it. Not all of them are registered with the Veterans Administration. So there's barriers, right? But in terms, so at our clinic, which is Bill's wife is running now, Me, Mind, and Body, we charge $3,000 for 30 sessions.
Okay.
So as a medical issue, still in that, would you pay $3,000 to get your back fixed? Would you, so these life issues, would you pay $3,000 for your kid to go to a sports camp? Right? Well, $3,000, it's not cheap, but it's not really that much.
Right.
For the benefits that you're getting. And we're the cheapest, we're the lowest cost provider in the nation still. I just don't want to, it wasn't about the money. It was providing services and being able to do good business, as well as teach other providers how to do a good business with, and be more effective in their business, because a lot of providers are not very good business people, right? So,
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Mental health people are not known for their
not
business acumen.
Not everybody's got the business brain. Not everybody's got it. I do not. I can come up with ideas, but my husband's the one who can calculate the business thing. Part of that, I don't do that as well as he does. So as the grassroots, if you do, so that's the step one. Find a provider in your community. If you can't, then go down that list.
of who can do neurofeedback. You can find that on brainhealthwarriors.org. Look at that list and see if you are one of those people that can do it. If not, I like 99% sure somebody you know is on that list, and convince them to do it. Convince them to try learning to do. If they're on that list and they can do good in their community and they have the time and wherewithal, right, to learn a new thing, Brain Paint provides the first free 10 hours of training. So they train you. As soon as you sign up with them, you're starting a training. After the first training, you're able to do somebody's brain training. You're able to do the questionnaire, set the scalp sensors on, run the hardware and software, and start doing that. And so we recommend that you do somebody you know, as a practice. But if you're that person looking for neurofeedback in your community and you go that list and you say, okay, here's somebody I know. Are you interested? If you're interested, I'll pay your machine cost. I'll pay for the system. $500 a month from Brain Paint. I'll pay for your system and you can learn how to do it and you can practice on me.
Oh, I love that.
Right? As a beginning model. So we introduce more people to how to do this and how easy it is to do this from the grassroots level. In the military community, my experience is we have many, many teachers, nurses, doctors, physicians. We have many in our communities that are capable of doing this from their background in the military, their transitions from base to base and their job transitions from base to base and everything that they've been through, again, existential, but it puts them in a place where they may be eligible and able to do this, which if you're a family service center in the military, what better thing could you do for the family services, right?
I love it. I absolutely love it. We will get the websites put on our website. So you can go to our website, homefrontharmony.org, and you'll be able to click on these websites and check all this stuff out because it's too phenomenal. We have to get the information out there to everyone. We unfortunately are running out of time, but I want to thank you so much, not only for what you're doing, for your service, your continued service to our veterans and our military families. Thank you so much for being on here. I absolutely want to have you come back. I mean, let's face it, we're in some times with a lot of mental health conversations should be being had.
That's right.
And it's okay. Okay? I can't stop saying that enough. It's okay if you have a question or something. We need to not be taboo about it. We need to be able to be open and have those conversations. But thank you so much.
Thank you too. It was a pleasure. Here. And it's really encouraging to see your podcast because it reaches, it's an important topic. Our military families carry an unusually large burden in their careers.
They do.
The families do. And so if your husband or spouse has had PTSD, you're probably going to have secondary PTSD as well.
Yeah.
If you've been in a relationship with an addict, you're probably going to have secondary PTSD as well. You're going to have life conflicts and probably anxiety out the yin-yang. Yeah.
Probably, absolutely.
And whether you can get the person, I mean, it's all about getting help for everybody, right? And so if you can get it through the veterans benefits and get him in, that's the easy way to do that. And give us a call on our website phone number, and we can show you how to get a referral through the Veterans Community Care Network. The biggest challenge isn't that we don't do a good job with what we do, because it's really, like you said, pretty phenomenal. It's that nobody's heard about us. Right. So veterans don't know that they can get this, so they don't ask, and their PCPs never bring it up. And so ask for it. We can teach you how to ask for it here. If you're out of this network, out of a Nevada network, we can teach you how to find one. But let us help you to help yourself and your community, because this is game changer in mental health. I've always, since I came into it, we can really change the game of mental health at every level in our children's schools, in our prison systems, in our juvenile justice systems, in our mental health systems, our foster care systems, everywhere that people are being touched by changes in their brain rhythms, their brain health. And so that's kind of what we want to do, is spread the word and make sure that, at least for the rest of my life, that's what I kind of am intent on doing. So thank you for giving voice to that.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming and talking. We definitely have to have you back. There's so much more to encompass on this. You guys know what time it is. It's time to like, follow, share. We are on YouTube. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts, Instagram, Facebook. Find us, join us, follow us. Tell us if there's a topic you want us to run. If you're looking for information, go to our website at homefrontharmony.org. We're going to get his links put up there as well. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Faded photographs covered now with lines increasing, tickets torn in half.